Here we are in Portugal for round 3 of the Enduro World and European Championship. Lovely spot, Viana do Castelo, 60 kilometers north of Oporto on the Atlantic coast, looking unusually mild, isn't it, without any great rollers coming in. Well, the Enduro team have been down here for a while now, and it's going to be a really tough event, I can tell you. Great weather. If you don't know much about Enduro, we've got 80cc, 125cc, 250, 500, 350 and 1300cc classes, explaining a bit more about that. And riders expected to do well. Obviously, the Italians very strong. The Czechoslovaks and the Poles have had a long way to come, so not many of them there, but some of the big names like Robel are around still. And then, of course, the Portuguese local drivers or riders, a few Swedes, and a couple of Brits to keep your eyes on. John Deacon, of course, and Paul Edmondson. Anyway, let's kick off with the start. Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. And they go off in threes. And today, they've got 3 circuits, 287 kilometers of riding to do. And those of you who know nothing about Enduro, you wait till you see some of this terrain and you'll see why these boys have to be fit and why the motorcycles have to be tough. And it's a tough testing ground for the manufacturers who come for the 2 days of competition here, check out all of the equipment. So there'll be 5 what you might call special tests or special stages. Everyone is timed across them. They are judged on penalties and whatever, but the majority of the top riders don't pick up penalties. The time points are then all added together. At the end of the day, we find out who's the best and who isn't. Let's have a look at some of the riders. This is one of the first river crosses with Thomas Schada. And you can see the 2 ways of going through a river crossing like this, flat out or nice and easy. No matter which way you do it, you're going to get wet. Nice clear water down here, flowing down from the hills, of course, down towards the Atlantic. And verdant undergrowth. There's plenty of other water flowing down from the sky as well. As Karl-Heinz Holz goes through on the 500, you see that stroke 4, that means the 4-stroke division. And then from the sublime to the ridiculous, after the river, there's a great uphill climb section. And here, a lot of the riders had some problems. Some of the Portuguese riders not doing too badly. You can tell by the numbers roughly where everyone is. 46, for example, is the 125 class, and that's a local rider on an Aprilia 125, Marcos Carvalho. Here comes another Portuguese rider, taking it all a bit sideways and upsetting some of the environmentalists there. You can see the old wind blowing today, but at least the rain has stopped at this stage of the event. Nice easy style, the Spanish rider Piela Casellas on 250cc division. And there's the first man out, number 223, Manuel Concalves from the 500cc 4-stroke division. Some interested onlookers here as we move on to another stage, and yes, more rain. And it's tricky because there are a lot of rocks in this trial-y sort of section. Isn't it beautiful scenery with all the ferns just bedecking the area? You can hear the rain pouring on the microphone. So a mixture of sand and rocks and rough terrain, but that's what Enduro is all about. Well, problems for the youngster Mario Giovanvangeli, number 17. Last year came 3rd in the 80cc World Championship, and he's not going to do so well in that league today, is he? So while he's extracting himself, we have got no riders Brit-wise in the 80cc. In the 125cc, we've got Paul Edmondson and Michael Extant. If you look up to the 250cc, we've got Richard Hay, David Hammond and Philip Smithson. I'll be trying to pick them out if we see them. Of course, the director will be concentrating on people who are doing well. Our biggest hope is John Deacon in the 350 class, riding a Husqvarna. But Charlie Cresswell is on a Suzuki 350, and he's looking fairly hot as well. In the 500cc class, we've got Philip Cannon and Ben Richardson. Philip on a Husqvarna 360 and Ben Richardson on a KTM 300. Those 2-stroke bikes, of course, a lot of them being upgraded into the 500cc class. There goes Pedro Hogan, another local Portuguese rider. And that's about it as far as the Brits are concerned. We'll be having a chat with Paul Edmondson later. So, Silva Helder, number Number 48 goes through there. Silverhelder cannot get up there, and Marshall is going to have to help him up. 2-2-2 there. And you can see the sort of problems these guys are having. That's a Honda 600. It's in the 1300cc class. And it's against the rules and regulations to have a marshal help you, but it doesn't really matter because he's not going to go all that well anyway. But we saw 48 going through there on a Yamaha 125, finished 22nd in the end. Now then, there's his other Portuguese teammate having trouble there as well. Right, Joachim Hedendal, the runner-up in the World Championship, very quietly relaxed, taking his 250cc Suzuki up there. He gets third place today, actually. Back to the old Roman path, and here you see it very slippery. This is John Deacon, look, the British rider in the 350 class, and riding absolutely beautifully. Very controlled, very relaxed on his Husqvarna 350. And Mario Rinaldi got second today in his class, KTM 350, number 129. Mario Braz, another Portuguese rider on a Suzuki. You see some of the terrain here. The Italian's so strong. Here's Giorgio Grasso on his Kawasaki, and riding beautifully up here. You see such a mixture of riders in Enduro, for those of you who aren't aware of the sport particularly. Here comes one of the Swedish riders, Stefan Karlsson. Stefan on his Yamaha 250, number 100. Whoops, and that's some of the problems these guys get when they just get their timing wrong. Giovanni Sala, very strong this year. He had a bad crash and went back to 5th place. He won all the heats this season until now. And Giovanni Sala, one of the big hopes, didn't have a good time in Portugal. And nor is the number 166 on his KTM having much luck either. Getting a hand out there. Yeah, you get such a mixture of riders here, and a lot of the names you will recognize from our previous programs. Here's Gert Pichler. Very strong, but he broke his hand in this event, and he took his KTM out. Here's Big Bill Anderson, very powerful on his Husaberg 502 in the 1300 class, and he just cruises through there as if it wasn't even there. One of the Finnish riders, double world champion, 250cc's. He said he had a few problems after he changed to the 4-stroke, and whenever he gives it gas, the thing rolls over on its side, as you can see there. But he's trying to get there. He had a lot of trouble in the big terrain test, and he's looking forward to the motocross test, which takes me back to what I was saying a little bit before about the different sort of riders. Now, this is interesting for you lot, because all of the riders have to do their own maintenance. The team look on, but they're not allowed to actually help the riders maintain the bikes. They provide the support, but the riders have to do the maintenance themselves. Here's old Giovanni.
In quanto la pioggia e tutto mi ha messo in serie difficoltà. Poi nella prima linea ho fatto una...
Well, he's saying it went very well today, but I had a big crash out in the first extra test. Lost 40 seconds. Tomorrow, I hope I'm going to be able to win.
Le linee oggi erano abbastanza pericolose e i fettucciati erano molto belli. Purtroppo a causa di quella caduta lì...
So he's fairly happy. Somebody who isn't that happy is our own Paul Edmondson, who had some big problems. And we get a chance to speak to Paul now.
It was, again, another disaster. I think it's pretty safe to say I've made the biggest crash of my career. So many people saw it, and it was incredible. The bike was going so high, and then all of a sudden the front wheel was dropping and I was going over, and again it was difficult to continue. I injured my leg again, the same like I did in Poland. And tomorrow I start for sure, but I think it's going to be a problem again. But anyway, now I'm okay and I'm laughing, but before it was quite serious, and I never make such a big crash.
Those of you who saw it, it was a wild one, I can tell you. Here are the results of the first day. Polish rider Robel up in front there. The 125cc, Petteri from Nielsen from Vodka, and not a big gap between first and second there. Feligara and Grasso and Hedendal in the 250cc. And in the 350cc, Sweden, Italia, and the Dutch. Quite a big gap, Carlson ahead of Rinaldi. John Deacon with a good third place there. And look at that, hardly any gap between Katranek and Farioli. Really tough in the 500cc division. Away somewhere, he'll doubtless tell you where he's been when he gets back. And day two, we go out on the stages again. Wonderful scenery here in Portugal. I mean, look at that, classic stuff. And we go out again onto the old Roman paths. The rain is a little lighter. It's going to stop a little later on. But world champion Franco Muraglia there on his Kawasaki. No real problems apart from that branch. Daniel Gant is the Spanish rider, also in the 80cc mark. Here he comes, look. In the 80cc mark, we're seeing TM80s and HRD80s, of course, are the machines to reckon with. Extraordinary. Now then, here's the man who had a pretty bad crash yesterday. We were telling you about it. Paul Edmondson. He started again today. He said his leg was giving him real aggravation, but look at this boy riding. He's riding beautifully. He used to ride in trials, Paul Edmondson. He started when he was 8 years of age, and he is hurt, but he's still riding absolutely brilliantly. Jeff Nielsen, he's not a trialist, but he takes his KTM 125 up there without too many problems. And here comes a Passeri, and he's actually going to win his class today on his Aprilia 125. In the 125s, we're looking at quite a mixture of hardware. TMs, Husqvarnas, Kawasaki's, the Aprilia and KTMs. Frank Will, the German, he puts on a lot of power and ends up blowing it completely with his TM 125. Victor Schwanska on his TM80, also finding problems there. These enduro bikes, a lot of you at home won't know much about. A lot of very strange names in here. Number 36 is Ferran Serrarols from Spain. He's a strong up-and-coming. He won last year at Oliana, a heat in the 80cc class. He's on a gas 125 and riding well, enjoying his outing. He really is. Petteri Silvan, surprise winner of last year's heat in Jämsö in Finland. He's on Husqvarna this year, and he's one of their top riders on the 125cc. Roger Turnberg, strong up-and-coming Swede, Husqvarna 125 team rider as well. And the Canadians have got Glenn Morrison here. Well, they did have. And he's going this season for the World Series, but he's having some problems there. He gets 1,800 penalties in this second day, and he has to paddle his number 49 KTM out. Rui Costa, another Portuguese rider on a Honda. You see problems there. Morrison goes through. And here we see Giuseppe Gallino going through as well. Meanwhile, he's still Rui Costa playing around with his bike. And then Ericsson goes through on his Kawasaki. Giorgio Grasso, the Italian, gets second place behind Paolo Feligara today. Feligara on Yamaha, of course. Here goes Paulo Marquez, another local rider. He came 8th, actually, on his Kawasaki. Now, Dirk von Zitzwitz, younger brother of the runner-up in the World Championship, Bert. He's a big German hope for the future, this guy. Had a few crashes in the special tests, but still managed 7th place. Joachim Hedendal going well for Suzuki, managed 4th today. And Joel Lopez on a Honda 250 managed 13th. There he is. Getting a little bit of help. Rough old terrain, isn't it? Yes, I still haven't finished telling you about all these different riders. Some of them try a bit of motocross from time to time. Some of them ride a bit of trials from time to time, and you'll have seen them on other programs on Screen Sport like Go, where we do a lot of motocross. And we also have our special riders where we invite all sorts of Enduro and Paris-Dakar riders and motocross riders through as well. That was Stanislav Spacek, a very strong Czechoslovak rider who lives in Spain. He got 5th today on his Alpha 250. He's just gone through. This is Richard Hay on his Husqvarna 250, getting real problems with the chain. British rider. Came 11th in his class today and lost some valuable time here, had to put his own chain back on. He must not be seen to be taking any help, and then he just walks it out of this little bit. And good luck to Richard later on in the day, but 11th is not bad. Miguel Farayotto from Portugal, 125cc. He's got an Aprilia 125, very strong. Dave Hammond drops his bike, drops his Honda 250, still managed 17th. And Yuri McElroy's, you know, he's come 4,000 kilometers to Portugal, all the way from Estonia to ride his Kawasaki 250. Ivan Tierney wins today the big 4-stroke class for juniors. And now I'm going to take a drink of coffee here and sit back and enjoy some great pictures of the beautiful off-road tracks here in the mountains of Portugal's Minho Massive. Have a look at this. Well, we take a look now on the second day to the motocross test, and this is Oscar Nacional from the Italian team checking out the best place to get a soaking, and the big crowd's turning out for the motocross tests. 10,000 spectators here, and that might help. So Maciej Robol is hot favourite in the 80cc class, but he's not very lucky as he drops his TM80 there. Whereas Jeff Nielsen is an ex-motocrosser, making the best time in the 125 class on a KTM. And he does well, but he comes second behind Passeri. Well, one or two problems on motocross, some of the guys just pushing it a bit hard. And Rui Costa is hurting pretty much in the same place as Paul Edmondson was yesterday. He's hurt his leg. He's all right, though, incidentally. Bohumil Posledny, an ex-motocrosser, puts the power on today. Third in his class on his Suzuki 250. And he's powering around there, and the crowd love to see this. Whoa, nearly came a cropper there, but hanging on in there. A bit of dirt track riding round the back there. 1 foot down and hanging the bike out sideways. Great stuff, and the locals don't know what to make of it, of course. Dirk von Sitzewitz, he rides motocross too sometimes, and he's a very nice rider. He's got a lovely style, riding his KTM 250 beautifully. KTM very strong in this event in Portugal. Looking good, eh? And putting on a bit of a show for the public, as is Paolo Feligara. He gives a good show to the public. He wins all the 2 heats in front of Giorgio Grasso, and he's now leading in joint place with Grasso the World Championship. Mario Rinaldi, he manages 4th today. He puts on a good show for the public too. And the Germans looking good in Enduro. They've got some good youngsters coming on, and the young German youngster Kai Armin Pfeffeli, you pronounce it then, go on, try better. He's an ex-motocrosser, dropped his bike here, got very angry, but look at this for guts. He gets back onto it, takes his Suzuki 254 flat out, hits the next hill and flies for the crowd, and they love that. Karitainen gets second today in the big four-stroke league with his Husqvarna 610. And Fabio Farioli, junior motocross champion of Italy in 1989. He's in the 500cc four-stroke class today. Great riding style. Fabio won in April at the 12 hours of Lignano in front of strong opposition like Svenrik Jonsson, Tiernin, Edmondson, Jackie Martins, Danny Laporte. Did well. He got third in the 500cc four-stroke on his KTM today. Well, the Brits didn't do too badly. A quick run through. Paul Edmondson on the second day managed third despite his injuries. Michael Ekstans in 125 managed only 14th, unfortunately. Philip Smithson 16th in the 250. David Hammond 17th. 2 third places for John Deacon makes him the outstanding British rider here.
Been good for me today. Second overall. Been going very well on the test. The motocross test suits me. It's very similar to England, and with all the rain this weekend, I think now I'm second or third in the championship. Yeah, I'm feeling very good and working well with the team because it's all new to me. It's my first year in the World Championship, so I feel much more confident with the bike and the other team members. So now I'm looking forward to France next week.
Well, brilliant for John, and congratulations from everyone here to him. Now then, Dirk von Zidwitz is telling us that, well, it didn't go quite so well. He had some crashes in the test, but it must get better. And he came fourth on the first day, 7th on the second day. So didn't do too badly. Feligara won the 250cc, Grasso came second, Hedendal came third. Let's have a look at the results of day 2, and while we're showing you those, I'll give you the overall results. Rossi, Michalak and Robel 1, 2 and 3 in the 80. Passera, Nilsson and Trussardi came 1, 2 and 3 and 125cc. These are results for day 2, but the overall results, Felagro, Grasso and Hedendal 250. 500cc, Pellegrinelli won ahead of Jonsson, ahead of Yimmink. A little bit of a change round there. 350cc, overall Deacon came second, Rinaldi third, Carlson first. And overall, Katrinak, Traenen, Farioli is the order for the overall results from Portugal. Well, there you go, some good results, some exciting events. We look forward to the end of the month and near Grasse in France, where we have round 4. From me, Peter Noyes Thomas, sitting in for Barry Nutley. See you next time round. Bye for now.